This top 10 fantasy football running backs edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WinBet. Bet $50 at WinBet and get $200 in free bets. Bet big, win bigger with WinBet. Download the WinBet app now or visit wynnbet.com and start winning today. We're also brought to you by Sleeper. You already play fantasy on Sleeper, but now you can win cold hard cash with their over/under game. Just head to sleeper.com/SGP on your phone to join the SGPN group, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. That's sleeper.com/SGP. And make sure to download the SGPN app, your home for all of our free picks and podcasts.
Hey, this is LeGarrette Blunt, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Woo! Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
I'm here, Sean. Just here so I don't get fined. Isn't that what they
Confirmed. Ryan is here on the podcast. In case you guys were wondering.
Happy 4th, Sean.
Happy 4th of July. We were pre-taping this a little bit. Ryan is, while this podcast is dropping, Ryan's out on Catalina Island.
I'm sure I am enjoying myself on the
smoking my weed.
It's a little bit of island time. It's a little bit of sleeping within, what would you say, 50 feet of the ocean. There's something therapeutic there.
Yeah, the ultimate white noise machine.
And I fully expect to be medicated. I don't want to blow anything, Sean, but I will be out there preparing.
Okay,
I'm going to be bringing some burnable materials for me to read, and then
Ryan always likes to pack in his almanacs,
Football
Outsiders, all these like
Phil Steele.
Yeah, unload hundreds of pages of fantasy preseason football data, and then just burn it all.
I mean,
some sort of ceremony.
Let's just put it this way, Sean. We have plans. To maybe go alphabetically through a list of things.
Oh yeah. Don't breaking news. Stay tuned for that.
So I might be looking through some A's, maybe a couple B's, maybe even a C. Who knows?
We have so much NFL content coming between now and the start of the season. Oh, just listen to those trumpets, Blair. Getting me so excited. Again, July. That's when it's fun to be a football fan, right? Because your team's undefeated. Everything's going your way. You got it all figured out. Perfect time to head over to WinBet. Get down on there. Bet 50, get $200 in free bets. Promotion again, free money there, and the ultimate fantasy football experience. You still have until the end of the month. For every $500 you bet on sports and casino,
#Legends only.
you'll get entered to win the ultimate fantasy football draft experience at the Encore Beach Club. A lot of talent over there, and a 2-night stay at the Wynn Resorts for you and your entire league. Multiple entries allowed. Hey, if you win this, hit us up. Maybe we'll come out there, hang out with you guys, because over at WinBet, bet big, win bigger. Already got some sweet preseason NFL futures win totals up. We're going to go through those on our division preview series, but so much NFL preseason content. Just get over to winbet.com. What are you waiting for? Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 or older. Present in the state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700.
Fabulous work.
I'm dialed in. Iced coffee's hitting. I got some juicy takes.
Juicy.
I think there's like
not hot.
There's one hot take. I mean, again, I think we'll get to it, but I think to get crazy and at least like the one pick for running back, it's hard to really make a case against. But I think in the middle range, there's some interesting stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, you can be hot to be hot. Or you can just be coming with some sweet objective takes that the world haven't caught up on yet.
Yes,
it's trendsetters. Sean, do you want to go first or should I?
You go first, Ryan. Kick it off. Who is your number 10? Fantasy football running back for? Now this is full point PPR, correct? Because we get that question a lot.
Half point.
My model works best for full point PPR.
This is full point PPR.
Okay.
I love abusing the 10 spot with a little bit of a micro hot take. Look, I'm taking this guy.
It's a baby hot take.
It's a baby hot take, but I would say he's being juiced up 10 plus spots on market. This is a guy I'm drafting consistently in the 5th, 6th round right now in best ball. J.K. Dobbins.
Wow.
Now.
Wow. Okay, because I'm looking at Fantasy Pros.
Where do they have him?
23rd.
23rd.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm here for it. You said you didn't have any hot takes, but J.K. Dobbins at number 10.
I understand the uncertainty. I understand why he's going in the running back dead zone. I understand why he's going after the likes of Mixon, Fournette, Connor, Swift, Javonte Williams, David Montgomery. You can keep going down the list. Cam, I understand why he's probably ranked after that in most of your standard formats. He's the running back for the Baltimore Ravens, a team that just got rid of Hollywood Brown. Yes, they have Rashad Bateman. Yes, they have Mark Andrews. They don't have a lot more than that when it comes to passing. And yes, Lamar Jackson is probably their goal line back. But what did we see? What did we see, Sean, when J.K. Dobbins was healthy?
Yeah.
We saw a guy who was hyper efficient. Remember when the fantasy nerds talked about how efficient he was running for what? Close to. I just went to his reference page, got thrown to his college page. He absolute beast.
Now was it
6 yards?
ACL or Achilles for Dobbins?
ACL.
Okay.
Remember when we lost J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards from a lot of my best ball teams?
I do remember that now from last year. That was a sad day. For the Kramer household.
Well, it was first happy because Dobbins got hurt, and I'm like, yes, Gus Edwards, we love Gus Edwards, and then Gus Edwards got hurt. So anyway, bringing it all the way back around, is there a team in the league outside of maybe the 49ers who wants to run the ball more than the Baltimore Ravens?
No,
in his short time playing in 2020, he averaged 6 yards a carry on 134 rushes and 9 touchdowns. Again, 805 yards. There's a lot of room for improvement there. And I think if everything hits, there is some talk of Gus Edwards not being all the way back. I talked about Tyler Batty as a guy I like as a change of pace guy, but it seems like if Dobbins is there and Dobbins is healthy, Dobbins is going to get a healthy share of the carries for this team. And I think this is a team that, if again, gun to my head, they're leading the league in carries this year. So I want to get the lead dog in that backfield. It's not Lamar.
Dog.
And I think there's room for both of them to get 10 plus touchdowns. So if you're asking me, am I a little higher than I need to be? Yes, because we only do 10. We're only doing a top 10. So I wanted to get it out there because I love J.K. Dobbins. Now I am going to have he's going to be more one of my more heavily owned dudes in best ball. If you're in redraft, which is what we're primarily talking about, Sean.
Yes.
You get the elite wide receivers up front. You get an elite quarterback, and you take J.K. Dobbins in the 5th round. That's the way it works. That's every one of my builds is going to be that, unless someone snakes me like Daro.
Shout out to Daro, who's still in Kramer's head.
Still in my
weeks
head.
later,
rent free.
All right.
So who's your number 10?
Yeah, I mean, not as hot of a take as J.K. Dobbins going completely off the board. Again, this guy has a chance, I think, to be a top 3 running back. I'm putting him here at number 10. Give me Aaron Jones. I mean, his targets and catches with Devontae Adams not in the lineup are insane. And Aaron Rodgers is very much a guy. He's got his group of guys. He trusts certain guys. Aaron Jones is definitely one of the guys he trusts. He could legitimately lead the team in reception. So again, full point PPR model, but Aaron Jones, you look at, last year he had 1 game with double digit targets. That of course was a game where Devontae Adams was out. He had 11 targets, 7 catches, 51 rush yards, 59 receiving yards, a touchdown. AJ Dillon, 0 catches in that game. Now I think AJ Dillon maybe gets a little bit more pass work, but
I don't think you have to say that. I think he's going to get carries. I think he eats into Aaron Jones's carries.
Well, and that's what I thought. Like goal line stuff, it's gonna go all to Dillon. But if you actually look at it, Aaron Jones. Okay, so they both had talking about carries inside the 10.
You got a number.
Yeah, he had 6 carries. AJ Dillon had 10, but they had the same number of touchdowns with 4. So Aaron Jones actually kind of quietly hyper efficient when you get close to the goal line. I really like Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to get him. No, I really like him in fantasy.
I don't think you really like him because I'm sitting here looking at my list and he's 7 on my list.
Really? Okay.
But it's everything you said. This is a play. This is an Austin Ekeler like play. Yeah. I don't care how many carries he's going to get. I really don't care. I think you're going to be, if anything, we're getting a discount on Aaron Jones, and there's a couple other guys we'll talk about because there is competition for carries. But you nailed it, right?
Because AJ Dillon's a known commodity, but this is about the pass catching work. If
AJ Dillon was so good, he'd be going a little earlier in drafts. I think there's this weird uncertainty that's allowed Aaron Jones to fall out of the first round into the second round in many of these drafts. And I just think if I'm drafting at the tail end, again, redraft here, would I love to take an elite wide receiver and an elite running back like Aaron Jones? Yeah, I think the catch ceiling is 100 catches this year. I think he can be flirting with triple digit.
No, and I really and maybe you're right. 10 could be low. I'm certainly going to try and snag a ton of him in best ball.
These are full PPR, right? We're not doing half.
Yes.
Okay.
And even though underdog is half point PPR, I'm going to be. I need more Aaron Rodgers stacks with Aaron Jones. Looking at my portfolio, Ryan. I need more of those
because you can also. I mean, you can fill up the whole team, and this is a team that's going to have an offense. And by the way, I'd like to meet the guy who has a very different rankings in his half point PPR than his full point PPR. I mean, I think at the end of the day, there's some guys in here that have very high pass catching ceilings, and they're just undervalued because people haven't caught on yet. Number 9, a guy with not a huge pass catching ceiling, but it's Nick Chubb because you can't have Nick Chubb outside your top 10. See, especially with the uncertainty.
I do, but I kept going back and forth. I put him in, then I kept him out. I like the idea of being high on him because I do think there's still a chance Kareem Hunt gets traded. So I see the case for it.
He's going to be the lead dog on a team with Brissett. Right at this point, Baker, maybe they kiss his ass and Baker sticks around.
Baker's not playing.
He hasn't. I think if you look at his latest comments, or at least there's a chance the door is still open for him to come back if Watson gets suspended for a year. I believe, but if not, it's Brissett. And if you have Brissett, how do you not like Nick Chubb? It's Amari Cooper and a bunch of relative scrubs at the pass catching positions.
Yeah.
Even if D'Ernest Johnson or Kareem Hunt is sharing the load, like this is a position that we're going to look back on, and we're once again going to be like, damn, Nick Chubb is a grown ass man running back who he doesn't use fucking gloves and elbow pads and all this modern day pussy shit. He just runs the rock into the end zone, and we're going to watch him put up 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and be like, why were we so low on him? Because it's hard. It's hard to him and Derrick Henry are hard because they have very little pass catching ability or involvement. And so it's
and as currently,
and there's other guys
and currently on the roster again, they signed D'Ernest Johnson, I think, to be the legit number 2 and still look to trade Kareem Hunt. But if they start the season with Kareem Hunt on the roster, that's certainly going to eat into Chubb's workload. So that's why I have him just outside my top 10. So, but the case for him is pretty easy to make.
And I think it comes down to, how many weeks does Nick Chubb completely screw you over? Because he's going to have some big games. It's really the concern is how many games does he disappear? And I guess I was with him and J.K. Dobbins. I was comfortable enough with the offense they're in and their commitment to running the rock to put him there. So number 9 for me is Nick Chubb.
Number 9 for me, give me Bengals running back Joe Mixon, third most rushing attempts in the league last season. Offensive line has improved. Again, not heavily involved in the passing game, but 14 carries inside the 5 turned into 7 touchdowns. I think he could get even probably more goal line work. I think this offense obviously figured some stuff out last season, and again, why he still had a decent amount of pass work, 42 catches on 48 targets.
That's what scares me about him. I like him. I think he's a great running back, and I think most people would be surprised to hear what you said about the number of carries he had last year.
Or I said catches, but
no. Before that, you talked about carries.
292 carries.
Just from a usage standpoint, most people think, oh, Joe Mixon, he's going to do it in both the passing and the running. He's actually, to me, like closer to a Nick Chubb.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be more of a running back. I think they really like Chris Evans in the pass game.
And it does sound like Evans is the number 2. I know there was some debate. Evans, P. Ryan, who's the third down back? We got into a lot of those debates in the playoffs. It seems like it's by all accounts it's Evans, but Joe Mixon. It's just A, it's a tremendous amount of volume. B, it's a good offense. C, it's an improved offensive line. It's hard not to put him in the top 10 when he's got like 3 massive indicators for success.
And back to the point, the offense wants to run the ball. I mean, again, he had the usage, so that offense wants to run the. At the end of the day, even though they have the weapons, their core is running the rock. Now, Sean, this is cheating, but he's number 11. So he's right there. He's right.
All my guys not in the top 10 are number 11. So
no, just one.
Okay,
he's the only 11. I have top 20 ranked.
Wow. So where do you have Saquon Barkley? You can't have him in the top 10, right?
Number 8, Saquon Barkley.
Oh my God,
I understand your injury play, Sean, and you're obviously the anti-homer here, but they are going. We
owe it to the listeners.
Everything you said about Aaron Jones, he's going to be used. There are going to be 2 running backs on the field at the same time. He is going to be used in the passing game a lot. I think you're going to see Daniel Jones throwing to Saquon Barkley a lot, and I think we could be going back to a situation where Saquon's floor is tremendously high because he's getting 4 to 5 catches a week. And so if I believe he's going to have the catch ceiling of an Aaron Jones, I'm going to put him right behind Aaron Jones in my rankings. And obviously a little bit of a homer here, but contract year, Sean, those things matter. It might not be with the Giants, but he needs to get paid somewhere. And so you sprinkle in the improved offensive line, just like the Bengals. They can't be worse, and I think the involvement with Saquon Barkley in the passing game, like he can achieve back to where his ceiling was when he was a top pick. The hottest take would have been me coming in here putting him as a top 3 running back. I would never do that to the Kramer gang because I do think there's enough question about the offense. But if this offense takes a huge step forward to average, maybe even above average, and you hear some of the stuff that people are saying, like, holy shit, we have the toughest thing to learn this year has been the amount of motion we're going to be using because Jason Garrett didn't do any of that. Saquon Barkley talking about being lined up on the outside, being lined up in the slot. So I think there's just a lot of excitement around the amount of catches that Saquon could have in this offense. And you can argue lots of mouths to feed, but Sean, you would tell me yourself, hey, these receivers aren't going to stay healthy. So I do think Barkley, assuming he stays healthy and doesn't accidentally step on someone's foot and twist his ankle like last year, he should be good. And he's going to have a catch ceiling that maybe 3 or 4 guys above him have. And so, yeah, Saquon Barkley, number 8. Where do you have Saquon Barkley, Sean?
He did not make my top 10. I would probably, the expert ranks have him at 12. I'd say
so I'm not even that.
I'd say 20. And that's the thing. That's again why I'm not putting him in
below Travis Etienne, below Miles Sanders, below Cam Akers, Tony Pollard, Kamara, David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams.
Probably in that. I mean, I would rather have Javonte Williams 100%.
That's where you got him then.
Yeah. I mean, again, Ryan, not to be a hater, but eye test. He did not look good last year. Like he seems to have clearly lost some explosiveness.
He was hurt.
He was being outplayed by Devontae Booker.
He was hurt.
Okay, so you're right. The entire season he was hurt.
We have plenty of data that know that when guys come back from these knee injuries, they're much better the full year removed. And he had a stupid fucking high ankle sprain because he stepped on someone's foot while he was like skipping off the field. I mean, there was a little bit of a flukeness to that injury, and yeah, I do think he'll be all the way back. You haven't seen the pictures of him looking shredded, so
you said that last year. You said that the year before.
And then he got an unlucky injury.
I've watched so many videos of him chopping his legs on the beach. He hasn't been. He had an awesome rookie season where he dominated in fantasy, and he's just never got to that again. I just don't think he's gonna be fantasy relevant. And you keep talking about this Brian Dable offense. what the Bills offense? Where was like the high running back fantasy production in that offense?
They had shit running backs. I mean, honestly, I think when you have Saquon Barkley, however you feel about the running back position, and it's like the use of the cap. If you have that guy, you're going to line him up and find ways to get him the ball. And so I think what I'm saying is he's going to catch a lot of passes. And if you catch a lot of passes in fantasy, Sean, especially in full point PPR, you just create a very hard to attain floor from some of these other guys. So yeah, Barkley stays healthy. You know what? Maybe I'd love to wager with you on the Barkley thing this year because I think you're treading into some dangerous waters.
No, I mean I just watched a guy.
You need an injury to be right. I think.
I watched a guy who got outplayed by Devontae Booker.
Again, he was hurt, and we're talking about a slightly different philosophy when it comes to offense.
So you're projecting A, the offense is going to be much more efficient. B, that he is going to remain completely healthy, and C, he's going to have an increased role in the passing.
I don't generally include injury projections in my fantasy rankings, Sean. But yeah, I think most sane people, logical people would say that the offensive line has gotten better. The offense should be more explosive and more creative and use the running back, especially when it's Saquon Barkley, in ways that make sense. I mean, you reminded me they didn't run on motion. They didn't do a lot of like modern things last year. So yeah, I think it's reasonable to think that the offense getting better allows Saquon Barkley to get back to form. And yes, if he stays healthy and doesn't have a fluke injury.
I mean, to me, my analysis on Saquon Barkley, why he was so fun to watch his rookie year when he was insanely explosive. He has that Barry Sanders thing where it's like, 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, and then 70 yards. And I think the injuries have taken a toll on him, and we don't have those massive plays to carry his average.
I'm not relying on the massive play, although yes, that's how he's going to score the touchdowns. I'm relying on an amazing amount of targets.
Okay, and he had 57 targets last year. What do you think he does target wise?
Top 5 in the NFL and for running backs.
Okay, so that would be what, mid 80s?
I think he'll have. I think he could flirt with 80 to 100 targets, if not more. I mean, I'm telling you, he's going to be used in the passing game a shitload. I mean, it's all right. You're prepared to be wrong here. I'm just worried I'm not right enough. Maybe I need him higher on the list.
No, I mean, I've been fading Saquon Barkley the past 3 years, and it's worked out.
Fading him and not draft. It's one thing to say he's going to be outperformed by, we could do Miles Sanders versus Saquon Barkley heads up fantasy points if you want.
I'll have to think on that.
Okay. I mean, it seems like that's what your rankings would suggest.
No, I think. I have to Miles Sanders. I don't have Miles Sanders in my top 10.
Do just
all right. Miles Sanders more fantasy points than Saquon Barkley. Let's go. Number 8.
We'll do some sim units on that one.
Leonard Fournette.
Okay, nice.
More I've been thinking about this.
AKA listening to the show.
Yeah, listening to the show, learning. You look at the vacated Ronald Jones touches. It's insane. 101 carries. 10 catches. Leonard Fournette, 25 carries inside the 10, 11 carries inside the 5 for 5 touchdowns. Brady is getting older, doesn't like to get hit. He's going to be dumping it down a bunch. My only concern, I guess, is maybe the rookie Rashad White gets some of the passing down work. Darrell Williams,
the biggest
Gio
worry.
Bernard. Like there's guys behind him that might get a little work.
But
clearly Brady again. In the same way, I like Aaron Jones because you have a veteran quarterback who trusts this other veteran. Leonard Fournette has a history with Tom Brady. He's playoff Lenny. And I think especially early on, you have no Gronk. Godwin, who knows when he's going to be playing or at least healthy. I think Leonard Fournette is one of the more reliable targets for Brady. And I just see him getting involved in the offense a lot. And the offense should still be pretty good overall. At number 8 feels right.
I guess you could argue there's a little question about the interior of the offensive line, but yeah, I Fournette's the guy I don't have in my top 10 that I think I was just gimmicking the way that the drafts are happening now because I think I have Fournette at number 12. Full disclosure, see, not 11, number 12. But I do think I love him as we just did a best ball episode before the holiday, and we love Fournette. Because he's in the 3rd round. He's a 3rd round guy. I don't think he'll be 3rd round by the time we get to like August draft season because checks the top offense, right? Like running back production is generally correlated to the offense's production. My only concern with him is injury.
Yeah.
And just play off
he came into weight a little heavy.
Well, I was going to say probably unfair, but is he going to play his way into shape?
Well, again, this is if I'm going to put out an adjusted list or change things.
It's early rankings, Sean. It's
no,
early.
I'm just saying I could see him getting knocked down depending on how some of these camp reports shake out. All right, we're talking about fantasy football, and you probably already use Sleeper, the app Sleeper. Great to play your season long, your dynasty. Kramer and I grinding out our dynasty league over on Sleeper, the DGens only league, but they can win instant, cold, hard cash with Sleeper in their over under game. Again, you can win as much as 2x all the way up to 20x. All you got to do is put together some sweet player prop parlays. MLB, again, it's a grind here in the summer, and what way to spice it up than with some nice, really fun MLB player prop parlays. You can hop in our squad, copy our picks with a click of a button. You can also put out your own picks. Tag us in the squad chat. Say, hey, Sean, hop on my sweet player prop parlay. If you give me a winning parlay, again, tag me in the squad chat. If you give me a winning player prop parlay, I will hook you up with an SGPN hoodie. Ooh. And again, go to sleeper.com/SGP, 100% deposit match up to $100. Again, when you deposit, use a promo code SGP. Sleeper.com/SGP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Kramer, you are on your number 7 pick.
7 was Aaron Jones for me. So we already kind of talked about it, but just to reiterate, I think it's interesting to me that Dylan is not moving up draft boards if Aaron Jones is going to slide into the mid-second round. Because I think if you believe that Aaron Jones is going to take enough of the workload, or AJ Dillon, why are we not drafting him in the 5th round right? But meanwhile, Aaron Jones, again, top offense, the quarterback trusts this man in the passing game.
I mean,
he once cashed a 45-1 3 touchdown bet where he scored 4 touchdowns for us.
That was awesome.
And you can argue, and I've made this argument. He is the top catching target for this team.
Yeah, and we talk about vacated touches when a running back there's one running back and then the guy ahead of him or behind him leaves. But I think Devontae Adams, those touches got to go somewhere, man. And I think Aaron Jones, Bobby Tunyon are going to be the ones that benefit from it.
The philosophy of the head coach too. I mean, it is very much.
It's not a new head coach. It's not a new quarterback. Everything changes except one guy who had a shit ton of work. And you're starting to see the master plan of why they took AJ Dillon and Jordan Love in the 1st and 2nd round a couple of years back. The future is now, Sean. So your 7's Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
My 7, Christian McCaffrey, who probably most people have higher. I am knocking him a little bit because I think there is something to staying healthy. He obviously got a tremendous amount of volume, 26 fantasy points per game in PPR formats when he played. 4 of the 5 of the Panthers' 5 wins last season came when CMC was active and playing. But again, he's just missed so many snaps, and it's to me, I got to pull him down a little bit for injury. And I think when you have back-to-back years where you miss a nice chunk of time or dealing with an injury, it's tough to project this season where you're going to be completely healthy. And I'm slightly lower on the Panthers offense in general. All that being said, he still has an insanely high ceiling. So 7 is probably maybe even a little low. I just don't think I'm going to be ending up with much CMC because he's still going. I mean, hell, we did a best ball draft last week, and I think he went number 1 overall, which is insane. But even number 1, number 2 overall, I'm not clicking the Christian McCaffrey button. So I guess in my rankings, I'm putting him at a spot where I won't have a ton of shares of him.
Yeah. Our friends over at Establish the Run seem to be getting higher and higher on McCaffrey. So my 6 through 4 guys, I feel like all are interchangeable, and they're in that category of guys who have once or could be a top guy, the number 1 overall guy. If they stay healthy, but we've watched them repeatedly struggle to stay healthy. And for me,
they're still using that shitty field turf in Carolina. FYI.
Yeah, but when I'm comparing in the group for me, and I guess I won't spoil it, but when I'm comparing these guys, I'm looking at the absolute ceiling of what they can bring. And to me, Dalvin Cook has the lowest ceiling of these three guys. And so he's my number 6 guy. I think there's still concern there. Obviously, when he's on the field and being used, we've seen what Dalvin Cook can be. We also see what Alex Madison can be. Now, here's the catch: it's a different offense.
Yeah,
it is a new coach, and granted, we're hearing a lot of stuff about being a pass first team, so that also makes me want to tick Dalvin Cook a little lower. I think this maybe is a team that's going to try to have Kirk Cousins throw the ball a shitload. I do think Dalvin Cook is going to eat. The combination of the season uncertainty about what the offense will be, the fact that I'm not as locked into them being an elite offense like someone like the Packers.
And
for
you
example.
look at I have Dalvin Cook number 4.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, slightly higher. Again, you can. Yeah, you're bringing up
his
some
brothers
good
in the
points.
league now, so he's no. But I mean, I think
to me, what was impressive was looking at the numbers. 4th in the league in runs inside the 10, which is pretty impressive because he did miss 4 games. I think why he's not a top 3 back for me is his pass catching role continues to decrease. So I think if they do end up being more pass heavy, his 35, 25 catches, which again, not huge, but through the course of a season, a couple catches a game certainly helps bump you up. Will hurt him a little bit. I do think he's probably due for a slight touchdown increase. I mean, he had 17 total touchdowns in 2020 to only 8 in 2021. Again, but like eye test for me, Dalvin Cook, when he was out there, still looked like he was efficient running at a high level.
The argument against him is he's never played more than 14 games.
It's a good argument against him.
I think, he's not as old as some people may like to think. That he's 27. So I don't think he's past his prime or anything crazy like that. I think to your point, he's in that Joe Mixon range of, he might get 4 targets a game, maybe less.
Yeah.
And so I think he's not quite a dual threat guy like we kind of in our head think he is. For me, it's the offense. Like, do we really think this offense is going to maintain this? You can argue, okay, maybe the defense doesn't come back. The offense has fantasy opportunity. I'm not super high on Kirk Cousins. So it's one thing for me to get behind the idea of Justin Jefferson being this elite talent.
Like there's been some early rumblings of like, oh, they're going to be a more pass happy team. You've watched the NFL. You're coming in as an offensive minded guy, and you see Kirk Cousins and you see Dalvin Cook. Who are you more inclined to make sure has a bigger share of the workload? And Kirk Cousins has. I mean, again, we could do the Kirk Cousins in prime time. He struggled in big spots. I don't think looking at the Vikings team going, the thing that was holding them back was not enough Kirk Cousins pass attempts. I just don't see it. Now, Justin Jefferson, I think still will get his, but again, a lot of that sets up well off the play action. And how do you get the play action going? You have to pound the rock to some degree to set up that play action, give Kirk Cousins some easy passes. He's not a guy you can just sit back and give 40 pass attempts. I just don't see that from Kirk Cousins. Ultimately, he ends up having like a high completion percentage, decent yards per attempt because they put him in pretty good situations, in part because they had a good running game. So again, I think the stuff about them rushing less is a little, I don't know. I think it's a little bit of coach speak, but I'm still high on Jefferson. Kramer, what do you got? Or you just did your number 6 guy?
Well, I was pulling this up. Dalvin Cook was 11th last year in fantasy points per game. So even if you exclude the fact that he missed games, he still was not a top 10 guy on a points per game basis. And I'm just not really. Maybe I'm overrating having him at 6, but I'm not ready to step forward saying the offense is going to get better.
Yeah, I don't think.
But you're right. Maybe the touchdown regression.
Better, but I think he could carry it with the touchdown progression there. Austin.
Wrong.
Austin. I'll just give my number 6, Austin Ekeler. I mean, I know you're super high on Austin
Spiller
Ekeler.
Love is ridiculous.
I really like Isaiah Spiller.
Ridiculous.
I think he's going to have a role in the offense. Herbert not afraid to quarterback sneak it in the goal line. But again, Ekeler, I like Austin Ekeler, and if we ended up in our ETH league, Ryan, which maybe we'll have to make it like 2 or 3 ETH to make it a high stakes ETH league. Ekeler, if we ended up with Ekeler as our RB1, I don't think I would be upset. Like if you're drafting at the end of the first, you end up with Austin Ekeler, you could definitely talk yourself into it. 18 red zone touchdowns, 63 red zone touches, first and second, respectively. Finished 8th in the NFL in total touches, 14th in touches per game. I think they got a lot out of Austin Ekeler, and I think they don't want to burn him out, so that's why they brought in Isaiah Spiller. I think they drafted Isaiah Spiller to give Austin Ekeler some relief from his workload. I think he's going to have a role in the offense. That's what I'm projecting.
Okay, that's a nice projection. He only had 94 targets last year.
What do you mean only?
Ekeler.
That's number tied for first in the league.
Yeah, I think that number could go up. You know why? He had 108 two seasons before. So the 92 catches. So my prediction of him having 100 catches, and I guess I'll rip the Band-Aid off because he's higher up on my list. He's number 2, Sean.
Wow.
Again, I think he could be 100 catch guy. This offense is going to run a lot of plays. I do think they're still going to play the way they play because their coach is a nerd and he understands that he's betting on his offense to score more points per possession than the other team. So he does not care about giving up points on defense. He's going to play an aggressive blend of defense, maybe even similar, inviting teams to run, trying to get sacks, create turnovers, and that's going to give them opportunities. Could Isaiah Spiller get how many carries? What's your carry projection? You think he's getting 5 a game, 10 a game? You think he has?
I think like 6, 7.
Okay. So yeah, I mean,
couple catches.
Does Austin Ekeler have 200 carries this year? No, is your prediction? He had 206 last year.
I think so. I would say maybe like 175.
So I think in a year where he's split, he maybe goes as low as 150. I think the catches will easily make up for that.
Okay.
I mean, again, he scored 8 receiving touchdowns, 12 rushing touchdowns. Is that
touchdowns. Sustainable though? 8 receiving touchdowns.
He's done it in 2 seasons, so I'd say yeah.
Okay.
The 12 rushing touchdowns, maybe that's where the step back happens. But when I look at it, Sean, there is an echelon of guys who were able to score north of 21 points per game. Again, full point PPR, and those guys are just that's an elite ceiling. And to your point, if there's some rushing touchdown regression, that's fine for me because I think once again, Austin Ekeler being the second or third target in the passing game in that offense provides just as much as any other team from a catch perspective. So could he lead the league in catches from the running back position? Yeah, I think he will.
Ryan, I hate to do this, but I know you're not allowed to predict injuries. I predict.
No, you're not predicting Ekeler.
Austin Ekeler will miss more than 4 games due to injury. Lock it in.
Wow.
He had 16 games last year. Every other year, 10, 8, 3.
Wow.
0
All
games
right.
started.
Yeah, he's my number 2.
So I think last year was also an outlier for him as far as health, and that's why you saw career high in rushing yards. And so I think as much as I like Ekeler, seems like a good dude, team fantasy. I think he's going to miss 3 or 4 games.
All right, real dickhead move for you.
Well, come on, Ryan. I told people.
I can't wait.
I told people don't draft
social.
Christian McCaffrey because he was going to get hurt, and I owe it to the audience because I know Austin Ekeler is not going to play 17 games. That I know.
You're right. I'll make him my number 3 guy.
Okay, there you go. Working things out together. All right, my number 5, who I'm guessing may not even make your top 10, Ryan.
No, I'm sure he didn't. Well, I mean, we know who's left. So
give me James Conner.
He's my number 13. What are you doing?
I love how everyone outside your top 10.
It's written down
11,
in front of me.
12, 13. All right. Again, the number his workload without Edmonds is insane. If you look at the game logs without Edmonds against the Rams, 9 catches, 2 rushing touchdowns, and Chase Edmonds, you're giving up 43 catches, 116 carries, and you're going to be without DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games. Ryan, what is Kyler Murray most afraid of?
A lot of things, I think. Probably certain colors he's scared of. Playing football,
Which means
fur skin coats,
getting hit.
Okay, tall people.
Kyler Murray doesn't want to get hit. And James Conner's going to be in that backfield. This is insane. Jonathan Taylor was number 1 with carries inside the 5-yard line. Do you know who was number 2? Take a guess.
James Conner.
You nailed it, Ryan. How did you get that? He's 3rd in the league in runs inside the 10-yard line, which is probably correlated to runs inside the 5-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
But still, you got Darrell Williams, who maybe he gets some look. Benjamin. Here's the thing: if Darrell Williams,
I think Darrell Williams could take some of the passing work. For sure.
And I'm a little nervous of that. But here's what I would counter with: Andy Reid loves a good pass catching running back. If Darrell Williams really had a lot of juice left in the tank, do you think in a year where they lost Tyreek Hill, they're going to let Darrell Williams walk? They figure out a way to keep Darrell Williams. I'm trusting Andy Reid's evaluation that Darrell Williams.
Feels
Andy
like
Reid's pretty good at evaluating pass catching running backs. I don't think that's a stretch at all.
Okay, I mean he did bring Le'Veon Bell onto the Chiefs this past year, so
I mean, shout out to Le'Veon Bell.
He's a boxer, man.
Yeah, who maybe can get him to beat up AP. So do you have James Conner at 13? All right. I
understand the case.
Again, I think with some of these rankings, I bump guys up a little bit higher just as like a way for me to make sure I get some shares of, but because where he's going, I love that spot. So maybe I'm boosting him up a couple ranks.
You take Connor or Leonard Fournette. I guess you're saying you take Connor over Fournette.
Yeah, but I think
it's close. See, I would take Fournette over Connor.
Yeah, you could make a case for that.
This is how I make my rankings. I say, would I draft this guy and that's how I got to my number 5.
I think honestly, yeah, that's why I have him at slightly ahead of Fournette, but I really like both. And I think to get Fournette, you have to draft him higher. So that's almost in a weird way.
I don't know if you do. Conner. I think they're similar.
You think?
I think so.
I'm going to look up their ADP right now.
But, all right, my 5, and he's only here because his ceiling to me is higher than Dalvin Cook's. And even though I don't really care what the offense is, because with Christian McCaffrey, it's just if he's healthy, he's going to score a bunch of points, and if he's not healthy, look, I like DJ Moore too. I don't hate Christian McCaffrey. Putting him at 5 means I'll never draft him because I do believe that once Jonathan Taylor goes, he's kind of in a tier by himself. I'm almost looking at the receivers. And so Christian McCaffrey, number 5, a little bit of a cop out, I guess. I doubt I'll draft him. You have to have a little exposure in best ball, probably, just in case he goes back to his old ways of dominating fantasy football. But yeah, I mean, McCaffrey is how I wrote it down first. Shout out to McCaffrey.
McCaffrey. All right. So
I loved his dad, Easy Ed.
I think I'm at my top 3. I have 3 guys left.
You've given out 4.
Yeah, my 4 was Dalvin Cook.
Oh, got it. All right. So my 4. So I mentioned that 4, 5, 6 was like the tier of guys who could, like they have done in the past the number 1 running back stuff, and that's Dalvin Cook, then Christian McCaffrey, and my last guy Derrick Henry. Even when you look last year when he got hurt, the pace he was on is insane. He 24.2 points per game. Now, for perspective, Jonathan Taylor, granted he played the whole season, 22.
Yeah, I have Derrick Henry.
Massive.
I have Derrick Henry at number 3. Henry finished 15th in the NFL in total touches, and as the RB20 in 8 games. So I mean, even if you project he just gets to 12 games, 13 games, that probably puts him in the top 10. You lost AJ Brown, which I guess
he's well. Hold on, Derrick Henry's rested.
That's a great way to look at it.
It's like a boxer who goes to jail, you know.
He was his 29.6 touches per game, 7 more than the next closest running back before his injury. And I guess the AJ Brown not being there, are you viewing that as a positive or a negative for Derrick Henry fantasy? Because you could say too, you could be like, oh, they're going to even load the box up more, but can they even do that? Or is it going to be even more positive? Like he might get a couple of those touchdowns that AJ Brown would have had.
I think I think you could see Henry take a slight tick up in his passing game work to the realm of a Mixon or a Dalvin Cook. And if he does that, then it just becomes very simple for him to get back in there because he's going to get double-digit touch. He got 10 touchdowns in 8 games last
and this
year.
could just be an eye test thing, but I thought I remember them running a decent number of like screens and some stuff to AJ Brown that maybe he picks up. Now he only had 18 catches last year, but again, that was in 8 games. His previous career high was 19, and that was in 2020 in a full 16 game season. So he was basically on pace to double his catch total.
If I'm Ryan Tannehill and I'm in a contract year, maybe my career is on the line. I go to my coach and I say, look, our backup quarterback has legs as well. I can run. We have Derrick Henry. Let's have some fun with this and try to be a little bit more smash mouth. Robert Woods was brought in to be a wide receiver. What is Robert Woods great at? Run block. He's a great block.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue Robert Woods is the best number 1 receiver as a blocker on any team. This team is set up to pound the fucking rock.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to not put Henry any lower than this. It's injury, right? Like he went over that like mythical 370 carry mark that just has been a death sentence for most humans.
Again,
but he's also maybe not fully human. So I'm going to bet on Derrick Henry one more time. I don't have enough shares of him in best ball yet, so I will have to make a conscious effort.
Still had even in 8 games, still had 219 carries
and 10 touchdowns. I mean, just again, like you said, he's an unbelievable freak. Dog. All right, so that was my 4. So you're at 3.
He was my number 3. So we'll
I gave out my 3 because that was Austin Ekeler.
Okay, I thought your Ekeler was 2.
No, but then you moved it. You talked me down.
Okay, so we'll give out our top 2. Before we do that, we're gonna give out our lock. When it comes to internet security, IP Vanish. That's right. Love me some IP Vanish. Again, it's the VPN we use, the VPN we trust here at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Powers up God's eye. Again, if you're using a Fire Stick, what better way to hide your location than with IP Vanish? You can use it on unlimited devices. Doesn't slow you down. Again, that was always my hang up with VPNs of like, oh, it's going to be laggy. It's going to be a huge pain in the ass. Perfect. Again, if you're traveling, especially internationally on some sketchy Wi-Fi or you're working at some random coffee shop, the password's hot coffee. Never know who can hack into that. And your ISP browsing history. There's so much stuff on your internet activity you don't want people having access to. IPVanish.com/SGP. Use that promo code SGP. Claim your 70% savings. IPVanish.com/SGP and 30-day money back guarantee. So you can't go wrong. Ryan, our top 2, I imagine both have Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, correct?
Yeah, I almost made Najee Harris 1.
Really?
I figured we'd talk about it.
All right, let's make a case.
My case is that everyone points to the inefficiency of his rushing game last year. 3.9 yards attempt, only 7 touchdowns on 307 carries, 1,200 yards. That's not like the carries are there. You love that from a usage standpoint. There's plenty of opportunity. Need him to be more efficient. Was that just because everyone knew Big Ben and the style they were playing, so it was a little easier to defend the run? And really, where he steps forward, and the reason I think you can make the case for him number 1 or overall, for some reason, watching the fastest clock humans in the NFL top 25 video where Jonathan Taylor was like 7 out of the top 25 has just made me think this guy's an amazing freak. But Najee Harris had 94 targets last year.
Yeah,
he had 74 catches.
That was my big note.
He only scored 3 touchdowns. So if you want to tell me he was inefficient in the running game and that's what scares you this year, I say, good sir, regression's coming. This team is reshaped to be more of a running team, a run first team.
All right.
Either it's a
I'm
rookie.
doing it.
You want to both do it?
Let's do it
as a team.
We'll jump off the cliff together. Jonathan Taylor, number 2, Najee Harris, number 1 fantasy football running back. Let's go all in on Najee. And again, I didn't like before I jumped into the numbers, 94. I could never have guessed that Najee Harris had the same number of targets as Austin Ekeler.
We had a conversation earlier in the best, maybe one of the first best ball drafts we did. I took Najee number 2 overall.
Yeah.
Because we said after Jonathan Taylor, I don't know who to take. I don't know who I like the most, but I know this guy, as far as anyone that could emulate a Derrick Henry from a usage standpoint on a team that if they're going to be successful, obviously I'm betting on them to be a little bit successful. I like Mike Tomlin to be coach of the year, 30-1 shot. That's a fun bet. This has all the makings because he's going to have 300 carries again. I think almost certainly it's a rookie quarterback or it's Mitchell Trubisky. If it's Mitch Trubisky, the amount of times you're going to see Najee Harris running a little flare route out to the wing, Mitch rolls out, nothing there, dump it off. When I told you I thought Saquon was going to be a top 5 target guy, here's the hotter part of the take. Najee Harris leads the league in running back targets. Najee Harris leads the league in running back catches next year. I think, and when you look at my top 10, I think it's Najee Harris. I think it's Austin Ekeler. I think it's Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley, and probably Christian McCaffrey if he stays healthy in terms of running back targets next year. And I think those guys have to be. If the guys you think are going to lead the league in targets have to be in your top 10. And so
yeah. And again, you have Trubisky, you have Kenny Pickett. I mean, rookie quarterbacks and bad quarterbacks love a good check down. And
the case against is the offense. Like if the offense isn't a top 10 offense, are we going to be limited from a touchdown perspective?
That's true, but I think he's going to make up for it in PPR points. And
we were limited last year.
I was looking up a couple of numbers, so if I missed it, I apologize, Ryan. But Juju again ate up a ton of easy targets that I think a guy like Najee could.
Yeah, I think you're looking. I think the Steelers are a team too that I don't think we're going to see an offense that any way resembles what they did last year. I think this is almost a reboot.
Yeah,
you have a rookie and you have Mitch Trubisky. Neither was there last year. Big Ben. They ran an offense for Big Ben. That was designed for Big Ben. So it makes sense if you really think about it. What was Big Ben good at? Getting in the ball out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So how is that?
And he had a real connection with Deontay Johnson. But
how is that going to help your running game? So imagine you design an offense around running the football.
You play up on the line.
No, but my point is yeah, exactly. You're not, because the defense knows the ball's coming out quick. They're going to play up closer to the line. It's going to be harder to run the ball even against the pass look. And so, yeah, I think they're going to come out with an offense that more resembles a Mike Tomlin. We're going to play defense. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to take some shots.
And Roethlisberger was under center the entire season, I think, and that's hard, or at least the majority of the snaps. I think that's harder to run out of or to set up the run. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some under center stuff. Again, this is pure speculation, but Mitch Trubisky under center or Kenny Pickett. Now, just pure speculation. And then also getting back to the Deontay Johnson, I think part of his success was he had a real connection with Big Ben. So and I think we're going to get some vacated targets via, not obviously he's still on the team, but I think the connection won't be there with these other 2 quarterbacks. So I think that will create passing game opportunity. All right, let's close it out talking Jonathan Taylor. Again, it's really tough to build the case against Jonathan Taylor. I do think it's more fun to just be slightly higher on Najee. But again, Jonathan Taylor just straight dog. Led the NFL last year, red zone touches.
Yeah, sorry. Before we get into Jonathan, you mentioned Big Ben taking snaps under center.
Yeah,
you meant not under center, right? What I went to
I meant to say shotgun. Yeah, sorry.
They almost took no snaps under center, and Najee. So imagine,
which is usually better for the running game.
Yeah, so I think to tie a bow on it, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, and I hate that the nerds have latched on to this inefficiency thing. It's really strange. Anyway, sorry, Jonathan Taylor.
Stud. Again, 42 carries inside the 10. 12 more than the next closest back, which was Damian Harris at 30. Did not make either of our top 10s. I'm kind of higher. Ramondre Stevenson keeps climbing up my board.
Interesting.
11th in routes run and 6th in route participation in 2021. So maybe he has an increased role in the passing game. The Colts offensive line I still think is good, but maybe not as good as even 2 years ago with Phillip Rivers. I think they've been dealing with some injuries.
Jonathan Taylor's a beast, though.
Yeah, again, you're really nitpicking to really build a case against him. If you end up with Jonathan Taylor on your team, I think you're pretty excited.
Yeah. Dare we say 1A, 1B?
No. Number 2, Jonathan Taylor. Number 2, Najee Harris. Number 1, book it.
All right. So you know what?
You gotta find your soapboxes.
And because people
in
always,
preseason,
people always want to ask this kind of stuff. I would say Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, Austin Ekeler, probably in a tier up. You know what? I'll say Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, tier 1. Tier 2, Ekeler, Henry, McCaffrey, Cook. Tier 3, Jones, Barkley, and tier 3 Chubb, Dobbins, and then Mixon, Fournette, Connor, my 11, 12, 13 guys.
So my tier 1, Najee, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry.
Ooh,
yeah, Derrick Henry is tier 1. Tier number 2, Cook, Connor, Ekeler, McCaffrey, and then tier 3, Jones, Mixon, Fournette.
What? So
tier 6, Saquon Barkley.
There is no real case against Jonathan Taylor. Right? This is more of a case for Najee Harris. I do think, gun to your head, number 1 in a draft. Are you really taking Najee Harris?
Yeah, I think I might.
Season long, I would.
I think I might.
Best ball, I would do a little bit of both. I want to have, so out of my top 10 guys, I want to hold more Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor, Austin Ekeler, Aaron Jones than anyone else, and Dobbins. I don't want to be, what do they say, Sean? Overweight. I don't want to be overweight on Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, or Derrick Henry.
Yeah. No,
what's appropriate weight there?
I find myself, I need more shares of Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I do too.
And I need more Najee shares.
I always fuck up Derrick Henry because it feels lame to take Derrick Henry.
All right. I want to fire up another best ball draft. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
You can participate and win some free gear. All you got to do, send in a screenshot of you reviewing the Sports Gambling Podcast on Apple Podcasts. Take that screenshot, open up the app, click contest, submit it there. Very easy. And you got a chance to win free gear every Monday, AKA March Monday. For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, second the Money Green. He is Ryan.
Sean, don't listen to the Antonio Gibson hype.
Kramer, let it ride.